board with me. So these are three things that I would evaluate on. One is time, second is how influential they are, and third is how easily can they be influenced.
Yeah, that's good. And have you had any stakeholder who was really difficult to deal with? And have you had any experiences like that?
Yeah. All right. So this is something which is within my team. I would rather say this was with Idea Plunge. When I moved into the organization, I inherited someone as part of my team. And there were certain changes that I had made in terms of how recruitment has to happen. So the incumbents in the organization, they were rigid in terms of certain processes that were followed, and they were very conveniently placed in terms of how this process happens. So when I made changes in terms of saying how a certain person has to be recruited, say for example, a developer needs to showcase skills which are relevant to development, like they need to be tested on how coding happens, give them a short exercise, ask them to develop something as a small app or something of that sort. That thing had to be tested, which wasn't the case earlier. It was more theoretical, which people could prepare for and then would be able to crack the interview basis that. So when I made this change, there was a lot of effort that goes in from a recruiter perspective. Earlier, it was just, they were just being a coordinator between the interviewer and the candidate, and that was the job. But right now, they had to put in that extra effort, right? Which also means there was a tool which could do that, but then you had to filter it from that particular tool as to who's the right candidate. So when people realized that they had to put in more effort, more time was getting utilized and all these, there was resistance to it. And there were even cold protests within that particular team. So I had to talk to them, tell them what the purpose is. So break them into, I mean, there were 3 people, so I had to break them into teams, break them into individual people, and then address it, sort their thought process, sort their thought in terms of what is going right and wrong, where the difficulties would be, and then address it. So in fact, it was more coming from one person who was influencing the other 2. I found that out. So addressing that particular person became an important challenge for me. So one, obviously that person was senior and was due for a promotion and all these things. So I made them head the recruitment and, or rather be an assistant manager for recruitment, and then have this process change. So there was a carrot dangling for them. So I had to do that given the circumstance. But then the end objective was served, right? So I had to make that particular change in terms of how this process happens, and also make all these people happy. So since we brought this tool up, we also had an automation done internally to, it would spit out the names of people who had completed it with a certain threshold and so on, right? So these people individually needn't check line by line code or anything of that sort. So that process was easier. So